Hey folks, just want to make a quick video comparing the two popular premium tools used in building Gundam plastic models, or Gunpla as they're called for short. It's the God Hand Ultimate Nippers from Japan and the more recently released Gundam Planet premium side cutters or nippers from GundamPlanet.com. So in general, the nippers or side cutters, I might use the term interchangeably, but these are like the very basic tool in building plastic models. These are made so they're designed to cut plastic without damaging the part too much, which, you know, I'll show you a quick example. But basically, this is how parts come, and you're really supposed to cut these little pieces that connect to the thicker part. You use these tools to cut them off. So what makes these different from the standard cutters? I guess I'll show you a couple of the standard cutters. These are the older versions, I guess. These are more standard versions of these. So these are symmetrical, double-bladed cutters. You can see like both edges of this are exactly the same, and both edges of this one would actually cut the part. And what this does is, since it's cutting from both sides, is actually squeezing it a little bit as it's cutting, and that can cause some white stress marks and maybe some other mild damage to what you're cutting. Usually it isn't really that big of a deal, because after you cut, you're supposed to do some, filing or sanding down to mitigate that. But these ones here, they're designed to minimize that cleanup work afterwards, because these have a single edge. Let me show you this one again. So this one is the Tamiya sharp pointed cutter, and you see this is also double edged and symmetrical. Yep, point at the camera. There you go. Now let's compare this to the Gundam Planet nippers. You can see, hopefully, that one of these edges is actually thinner than the other. It's not symmetrical, and this is more noticeable on the God Hands, which has an even thinner blade. So you see over here, I mean, this is the cutting edge, and that's a little bit thinner than the dull edge on this side. Here's the God Hands, the blue handle. Gotta aim it right. Yeah, see the cutting edge again over here, very thin and asymmetrical. Comparing the two, Gundam Planet and God Hand. The cutting edge is on the same side on both of these. So you can see already that the God Hand here is a little bit thinner than the Gundam Planet one. And ultimately that's what makes the ultimate difference between these two, what makes the God Hand still a better nipper than this one. But we'll demonstrate this on some actual stuff. So I guess to show you a quick example of how the standard ones work, this is the Rafflesia action base from the F91 that I'm currently working on over here. Just doing the torso, which is my favorite part actually. It's got some nice vents and the cool thrusters on the back. Anyway, I'll cut one side with the standard side cutters here, so just so you can see the difference between this and those. So one edge here, a loud pop. Use the skinny Tamiya thin edge tool. Get over here. Let's hold it so it doesn't fly off. Alright, so this is the edge that I just cut with the Tamiya, with the thin edge, the sharp pointed nipper. See, all that white stuff is the stressed plastic from the cut, and it's a little rough. It's not completely flat or smooth. And compare this to the other one, which is done with the standard cutter, standard side cutter. Come on, zoom. You can do it. Manual zoom. Here we go. Manual focus, that is. But anyway, you can see all the white marks there, the stressed plastic, and it's actually a little bit disfigured, malformed. So that was using the standard symmetrical cutters. Now I'll move this out. I don't need this anymore. So another example, I guess, would be the first thing I ever used to do these things was like a nail clipper like this, and you'll see how ineffective that is. So if I can even fit it in there, Okay, so if I cut this with this nail clipper, let's get the extra bit out of there. You see how they start to squeeze? You see the white already forming there? And it cuts through. Makes a lot of noise. And I guess the cut wasn't that bad. I was expecting it to be a little bit worse, but it's not very smooth. So, here we go. I'll start with the Gundam Planet cutter nippers. If we can get it in focus. So again, with the symmetrical nippers, which I tried to demonstrate just now with the nail clipper, but it makes more sense to do it this way. So the standard symmetrical nippers, when you start to cut, you'll see it's cutting from both edges, and the white mark starts to appear on both sides, and then it squeezes it and cuts through, and then kind of pops off like that, leaving a mark like that. What these are designed to do with the single cutting edge, where is it? Is that it? That is it. So the cutting edge here is on top, and the one at the bottom stays stationary. So it cuts through. You still see some of the stress marks there, but it kind of just slices through there. Very quiet, very clean. It is still white here, but this is actually, it's a little concave, but it's still pretty smooth. So I'll do that again. Put it in the middle, cut through, little snip, and it comes off. It's very, very smooth. The God hands now, with a thinner single blade than even the Gundam Planets, also similarly, squeeze it, slices right through there. It's very smooth, very quiet, and you can actually see how much better that is on the stress as well. There's not as much of the white marks there. So do the Gundam Planet one again quickly. Cut through. Get here to snap the extra white here. God hands. Smooth. It actually is a much smoother cut with the God hands as well. With that thinner blade, it just kind of slices right through. Takes a lot less effort. So generally, that's how those are better than, compare this with the old ones again. Whoa, that just went flying somewhere. And the tip, sharp pointed cut is here. That actually hit me. So that's another another benefit of these thin blade ones. When you cut them, they just kind of just fall off like that. They don't go flying somewhere, which is really useful for small parts when you cut them. So I guess some of the things that are similar to is that they both have these metal stoppers at the bottom, which prevent the very delicate blades from colliding with each other and dulling and getting damaged, which is pretty cool. The God hands have this extra pip here, which prevents it from overextending, which, this one can get pretty wide. They actually tell you not to do this, but with the God hands, you actually can get that wide. Something I'm noticing just now is that the spring tension here, the squeezing is actually a little bit firmer on the God hands. This is pretty loose, but when you're actually cutting it, this feels a lot lighter because, I guess because of the thin blade, it just cuts through the plastic better. Anyway, that's basically it. The God hands and the Gundam Planets. I got the God hands when I was in Japan. I managed to find a store that was selling them, so I didn't pay like the $70 you normally find on Amazon for it. They are better than the Gundam Planets, but they're probably a lot more expensive to get in the US or Bermuda, wherever you are. I'm in Bermuda, so I have to kind of fly everything in. I still prefer the God hands, but I think I'll use these more simply because they are cheaper and they're still pretty good, and I can replace them more easily if they get broken compared to these. These ones I'll kind of reserve for those precious armor pieces, where I want to make it smooth and perfect. But in general, you don't need these, but they really help a lot. They make the cleanup of parts a lot quicker compared to using your standard cut away from the part and file down. They say you can cut directly against the part with these, and I've actually done it a few times. Actually, one of the examples here on the F91, it's not going to catch properly. It's not going to catch, but can you really see it? It's like one mark here, right in the middle on the back there. Nope. But I cut that directly against the part using the God hand. You can see like a little bit of the nib there, maybe in the middle, and that was just a straight cut with the God hand. I didn't do any sanding or filing, so it is actually pretty good on that when you get a nice flat piece, and it's pretty much flush. I guess I can feel it a little bit when I rub my fingernail on it, but just touching it like that is completely flush. So these, well, that was the God hands. I just got the Gundam Planet ones today, but they are good. They're great for that. It makes cleanup a lot quicker. Definitely worth it if you build a lot of models and you want to spend a little bit less time sanding and filing. But the Gundam Planet ones are also pretty great. I wouldn't be mad if I only had these, because they're quite good. But these are still better. Thanks.